A 50,000 rupees policy available through personal insurance, and it's available at 15,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees from a government bank. Such policies are very poor, like meaning poor is also an understatement, honestly. You do not get good services, you don't get responses, and becomes a very, very bad thing. Tremendous number of terms and conditions in the policy. ये करोगे तो ये नहीं मिलेगा, ये करोगे तो ये नहीं मिलेगा. Surgery limits, co-pays, huge co-pays, and the service is also shit.
Any senior citizen who might be in his 60s or 70s, what are the key factors which determines whether that particular person, individual, can get the health insurance or not?
Don't wait for your retirement. Don't wait for your children to buy insurance for you. Insurance companies put professional investigators on the job when they feel that a case needs investigation. If they feel that there is something that has been missed, these professional investigators have their own ways to find information. 3 years later also, or 10 years later also, or 20 years later also, or 50 years later also, whenever an insurance company comes to know that you have made a big misrepresentation, you have not informed something, the insurance companies have to still fill the proposal form correctly, right? But you are supposed to fill the proposal form correctly to the best of your knowledge. अभी मुझे जो भी पता है, I need to inform.
If you do not know how to fill out the proposal form, do not buy health insurance policy. Quote by Mahavir Chopra.
The first way to do it is basically to take a policy which has a deductible, right? So, yeah, I will explain.
I'm just thinking people in the comments might be writing Saif Ali Khan ke saath to nahi hua. The claim was big.
Yeah, actually.
Hey everyone, welcome to Insurance Unfiltered Season 2. So in India, we value our family the most, and within the family, our parents. And as they grow old, we think about their health. And one thing which will solve for all these things is health insurance. So in today's podcast, we have Mahavir with us to help us out to figure out the health insurance for our parents. Hi Mahavir.
Hey, hi.
So all the people out there, please be focused for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, and you'll get to know what is the right way to purchase the health insurance for your parents. And we try to make sure to give you the most milawat free content. How? Because we are not influenced by any commissions or any ads. Hence, we make sure that we provide you unbiased, milawat free, 100% transparent content so that you can make the right health insurance decisions as per your need. So Mahavir, directly first question to you. What is so big fuzz around senior citizen health insurance policy?
ठीक है, पहले मुझे ये बताओ, ये क्या रखा है तुमने यहाँ पे?
This is basically a fishy fish.
Okay.
So this fish will basically, I'll press it like this, sound and come. And
Okay.
whenever I have any doubt, something you use any jargon or something which I do not understand, I'll just do it like this.
Okay.
Right? So you might hear in this policy, because I'm no expert. You are the expert.
Okay.
So first question
Hi,
directly.
fishy fish.
Say hi. Okay. So Mahavir.
Yeah.
First question directly. What is so big fuss around this senior citizen health insurance policy? इतना हंगामा होता है related to senior citizen health insurance.
Yeah.
क्यों है ये?
Yeah, so see, you have to understand that insurance companies want to make profits, right? Insurance companies are private limited companies, right? Or they are basically private companies which are with private shareholders who want to make profits, right? Their shareholders want to make profits. And they will only make profits when they have a young book, right? When they have young customers in their book of customers, right? As soon as a person who's old enters their book, the pressure on making profits obviously goes down, right? And hence, insurance companies will fuss whenever a senior citizen has to be covered in their policy, because for them, it is quite a big pressure, right? एक example देता हूँ, it's not a direct example, and don't take me wrong when I say this, is that अगर आप एक नया गाड़ी खरीदते हो,
Okay.
right? Versus आप एक पुराना used car खरीदते हो, right?
Okay.
How many checks will you do when you buy a new car? And in terms of कि mechanics बराबर है क्या, उसका car का functionality बराबर है क्या, सब कुछ everything is working properly or not. Versus if you are buying a used car, will you probably not take a mechanic with you who's someone whom you trust to check everything कि कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं है, is there all the parts are correct or not, right? Why would you do that, right? Because you know that you're taking something where the number of chances of you're taking something where the chances of things going wrong are also very high,
Very high.
right? Similarly, for insurance companies, it's a very tough call to cover someone who has crossed a certain age and now probably is going to be charged a premium, and they don't know how much claims will come out of this, right? When a young person joins an insurance policy, then the number of claims that are going to come in over a lifetime is obviously going to be lesser compared to the number of years that that person will be there in the policy. कोई 25-30 years में policy ले रहा है, if he lives even till 70, that person is basically going to pay for almost like 40 years, like what I mentioned, 40 to 45 years of premium, and then make claims during that period. तो वो span जब बढ़ता है, insurance companies basically everything that an insurance company does is a game of a probability, right? And the number of years it gets spread into, the younger the person is when he starts off, it makes life easier for the insurance company to basically be able to survive, make the policy viable, make it affordable. As soon as someone joins later in their lives, right, and the span of life remaining becomes less, the probability for that time when the person will be there in the policy, pay premiums, even double the premium or triple the premium of a person at 25, it's very difficult to basically in that period of time create that probability ke kitne claims aayenge, right? Because that person is now in the period of his journey in his life where he is or she is going to make claims due to hospitalization. तो वो risk बहुत ज़्यादा है, and the burden on the insurance company is much higher, and hence an insurance company will fuss, right, when a person who is a senior citizen or someone who is very higher in the age group is trying to cover policies. And exactly why we always say that buy young, right? Don't wait for your retirement, don't wait for your children to buy insurance for you. Buy insurance on your own, and buy it younger when you don't have a health history, don't have a medical history, you've not made any claims, so that insurance companies will not, like you said, fuss.
Got it. So everything is related to the health of the individual.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And as we grow old, definitely the chances of bad health conditions will increase.
Exactly.
What about the person who is fit? Let's say he or she is 60.
Yeah.
And we see I can give examples of people who are fit. What about them? Like, can they get the policy easily, or still they face the same problem which a different 60-year-old?
So it's exactly right. Meaning, if a person who's 60 or let's say 55 is coming to take a policy from the insurance company is going to ask certain questions to the customer, whoever is buying the policy, in terms of their fitness, their health, their medical history, their surgery history, everything. If it's perfectly fine and the person is completely fit and fine, no lifestyle issues, no weight issues, no habits like tobacco or let's say alcohol or anything, then the insurance company is more than happy to cover that person, right? And there are unlimited as many number of options available for such a person, as much as a young person who's 30-year-old or you are. The number of options that you have, almost similar number of options would be available for someone who's healthy. But are you willing to take that risk of till 60 आप रुक रहे हो कि आप healthy रहोगे, fit ही रहोगे, right? You will not have any surgery, not have any medical history. And what about the spouse of that person, right? That person's spouse could have an history. So yes, but absolutely right. If a person who's very healthy, fit, has a great lifestyle, and wants to buy a health insurance even at the age of 65, 70, it's not a problem. They can get good options to cover themselves.
Okay, so I get it. Like, everything is related to health. Health insurance, so health, definitely. Now let's quickly cover the policies which are offered through government. Right? Recently Ayushman Bharat also came. Correct. There are certain policies which are given by the state government. There are many schemes, right?
Yes. So free also. Correct.
So how do these things work for senior citizens? So let's understand with Ayushman Bharat. How does Ayushman Bharat works for senior citizens?
And this is a very legit question. In fact, my father-in-law, who's like current, I think he's reaching 80 now. Okay. He had also called me as soon as the scheme got announced that, Abhi, do I need to continue my policy or should I stop the policy, because this is covering me, for a good age, and also good cover, right? 5 lakhs individually covered for both husband and wife. Right? So it is a good proposition, and obviously the intent is very good. Government is showing seriousness in covering people who are, in case of Ayushman Bharat, it is 70 above. Right? It's not 60 above. And then government insurance, government in the state, right? The state governments, they also offer insurance that is free, like we are sitting in Maharashtra. Maharashtra offers free health insurance for all the citizens of, meaning the people who are domiciliary of Maharashtra. Everybody gets free health insurance, right? So my father is covered in Maharashtra.
Irrespective of age.
Irrespective of age.
Okay.
In your case also, Rajasthan also offers, right?
Yes,
Your parents
yes.
are in Rajasthan. They also offer free health insurance. I think Gujarat also has it. Many states have it, like you rightly asked. But there are 2-3 areas where there could be limitations, right? One of it is like, let's look at Ayushman Bharat. So Ayushman Bharat's limitation is that all the hospitalizations will have to be in the network only. The list of hospitals that have been listed by the government, and all of them will be cashless only, right? तो इसमें ये है कि अगर आपको कोई ट्रीटमेंट करवाना है in a hospital which is outside that network, then it cannot happen only. Like you cannot do the treatment and get money from the government because in Ayushman Bharat, because the scheme is very clear that you have to go to a network hospital and get treated there and it will be cashless, right?
Okay.
इसमें एक दूसरा एंगल है जो हम सुनते हैं, and this is not 100%, I'm not 100% sure about this information, but I keep hearing about this, that the hospitals who are part of the network, they don't get money on time from the government, right?
Okay.
And a lot of people have complained on in the news also that 6 months तक पैसे नहीं मिलता है, and that's why hospitals discourage such patients also. So the service that you get is also not very great. मतलब आपको शायद अगर आप फोन करके पूछोगे, and I think our research team had called the call center of hospitals and checked, and a lot of them said that you will be in wait list. We will tell you when to come. So they are going to prioritize you over a cash paying customer, right? And probably you may not get treated quickly if you're looking at a specific hospital, which is very popular also and part of the network also.
Got it.
So these two things come into picture. Typically, when we want our parents to get hospitalized, what we first do is that we find a doctor, right, who's good in that area of expertise. Then that doctor will recommend which hospital to go with, because he would be attached to certain hospitals, and that will define which hospital you go to. In very rare situations, it happens is that you will go and check the network of Ayushman Bharat, find the hospital, then go and find a doctor in that hospital, and then get treated. That's not how usually people operate in India when they have to get a parent treated, right? वो ही एक बहुत बड़ा constraint है, right? If that is not the constraint, if someone is very clear that they can first start from the hospital, then basically look at which hospital is available, and then find a doctor in that hospital, then probably if you are ready to do that hack, right, then it could probably, in a lot of planned hospitalizations, it can be taken care of. But what about emergency hospitalization?
That's what. Yes.
अगर urgently कोई hospitalization आ गया, so in that situation, you will not be able to take that call of going to that hospital. You will go to the nearest hospital.
Yes.
In that situation, again, you will have to pay from your pocket, right? So service issues, network issues. ये दो issues की वजह से I would not recommend that you completely depend on the government insurance. If you have the disposable income to take care of your family, you should not completely depend on it. So like my father-in-law, I told him, right, that you should continue with this policy. Don't stop your policy, because he's been paying for like 20-25 years, right?
Okay.
So I said, don't stop the policy, continue the policy.
Got it. And what about these state government and
Same.
public sector? Same.
Yeah. State government, I think still reimbursement is possible, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm still saying that the service quality is not going to be great. Again, it is going to be dependent on network. Again, the same issues come into picture. And hence, a lot of hospitals allocate beds, that these beds are available for state insurance, right? And and there could be a queue and you may not get it on time and all that. So all the service angle comes into picture. So like I said, if you have enough you can afford a health insurance for your parents, then having a private insurance is always good. Plus, there could be a government change that could happen, and a new government could decide that बस नहीं है पैसा, and you're taking a call that previous government नहीं बराबर काम करती थी, उनको नहीं पता था, deficit बहुत बढ़ रहा है, तो we're stopping this policy, right? It can be possible, right?
Yes.
And we see this happening a lot when governments change.
100%.
That a new government comes and says ये बंद कर दो.
Yes.
तो वो वाला risk भी है.
And when I talk about Rajasthan, so there to every 5 years the government changes, and I have myself seen the schemes being changed.
You have seen that?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah. So this is very, very common practice. So this we need to take care of. What about the people whose parents, like for my parents, you can talk about, or like the senior citizens themselves, if they have the policy, these government policy, can they switch it to personal health insurance, retail health insurance policy, these private insurance policies? They
cannot switch. That policy will continue. What you can do is basically you can buy a separate policy, but there's no portability from a government policy to a personal policy.
Okay.
You will have to buy a fresh policy like any other customer would buy as a fresh policy.
Understood. So ultimately, whole in whole, if a person has a health insurance policy, senior citizen has a health insurance policy, do not fall for these government free schemes. Yes, they are good, but as Mahavir mentioned, that you might face two issues, one of network and one of service. So it is extremely important that you should go ahead with the right health insurance policy, which is private policy, as you
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
right? Okay, so Mahavir, I have understood the government part also. Now let's start with the private health insurance. Usme I have certain questions. Let's start with the basic.
प्राइवेट हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस किसी को समझ में नहीं आया तो इसके लिए आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन प्राइवेट हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस बेसिकली पर्सनल हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस वेयर यू बाय द पॉलिसी विथ योर ओन मनी from an insurance company, and it could be a government insurance company also and a private insurance company also. ऐसे हो सकता है कि people may feel that you are talking about private. People will feel कि buying up insurance from a private insurance company. Government insurance company से भी ले सकते हो और private insurance company से भी ले सकते हो जो मतलब उनके shareholders private limited company जैसे है. That is not a problem. That is a separate question and a separate scenario. We are talking about personal health insurance bought by your own money directly from the market.
Got it. So let me use the word personal health insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mahavir, let's talk about now the personal health insurance. Let's start with the eligibility factor. My parents are 55, 60, any senior citizen who might be in 60s or 70s. What are the key factors which determines whether that particular person, individual, can get the health insurance or not?
It's purely largely to do with medical history.
Okay.
And their current medical conditions, right?
Okay.
So basically, if I have to ask questions to a, let's say, a senior citizen or someone who's a parent to understand what kind of options to give them, there are 3-4 questions that I will ask. The first question is that how many hospitalizations have happened in the past and what kind of hospitalizations have happened, right? That's the first thing. The second thing I'll ask is basically what kind of medications they are on, right? To understand if there is any kind of health condition they have, like a diabetes or a thyroid or let's say asthma or something like that. The third that I will ask them is basically to tell me if they have been diagnosed with some disease, right? Which probably may require कोई cream लगा रहा है, right? But that may not be a medicine. It may be a cream, but it could be a skin disease, right? Or someone like, and it's a very, very important that you ask the right questions to parents, because the parents mostly in India live in denial, right? कि आप उनको पूछो कि सर अंकल आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या, तो बोलेगा कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं. अगर आप उनको पूछो अंकल कोई हेल्थ इशू है, तो नहीं मैं तो एकदम फिट एंड फाइन हूँ. तो आप अंकल कोई दवाई लेते हो, डू यू टेक एनी मेडिसिन? सो यू से हाँ आई टेक वन मेडिसिन फॉर डायबिटीज, वन हाइपरटेंशन, एंड आई ऑल्सो टेक दैट वन इनहेलर फॉर एस्मा. तो अंकल आपको तो 3 बीमारियाँ हैं एंड यू आर सेइंग यू आर फिट एंड फाइन. सो दिस थिंग इज देयर, राइट?
Yes.
So that's why asking 3-4 questions just to get that entire information is very important. Plus weight is going to be important. Weight and height, the BMI of that person is going to be very important. If someone is very overweight, then that becomes an additional complication for the insurance company. And if it is it is coupled with the health issues, then it again becomes further complicated.
Got it.
After this, there could be things like habits, right? Let's say chewing tobacco, smoking tobacco, or alcohol. All these things also basically make a difference. So basically lifestyle related issues, which is basically obesity or let's say underweight, habits, and medical conditions and medical history, all this put together plays a larger role in basically what kind of policy they will get or not get.
Got it. And how do insurer, for example, they ask these questions, and one of the, let's say, person says okay, I am suffering, as you mentioned, I have he has asthma, diabetes, cholesterol.
Yeah.
How do insurers see these diseases?
So they see these diseases, they will basically ask additional questions. So once you give this information that there is a particular condition, like if someone says that I have diabetes, then they'll ask 4 more questions, right? To understand what kind of diabetes they have, how much are they on insulin or not on insulin, what is the last sugar count, meaning whatever it is called, the sugar range that is reported in their medical test, right? Which is basically comes as a report, is a test called HbA1c, which gives a record of what is the level of diabetes that the person is facing. Or if it is thyroid, then last medical test reports. With hypertension, similar questions will be asked, or cholesterol or heart disease. So basically they will ask further questions to investigate the severity of the problem. Like if it is
Okay.
maintained, not maintained, controlled, not controlled. Someone has diabetes but it's uncontrolled, then obviously the risk is higher for the insurance company.
Got it. Understood. And one question which is like coming to my mind directly, how do insurer get to know about these problems?
Yeah.
Like if as you also mentioned, like
Correct.
if I'll ask my mom कि आपको ये है क्या?
Correct.
Still straight away say कि
Yeah,
यार
yeah.
मैं तो बिंदास, I'm very good, I am
Correct.
very fit.
Yeah.
But ultimately she's suffering from certain diseases.
Correct.
If she doesn't reveal, how will the insurers find out? Like,
Yeah, so at the time of claims, like meaning when the insurance companies ask for a lot of papers from the hospital, right? And they
Okay.
take papers from the hospital. And the hospital, when you're going for hospitalization, basically to understand what kind of line of treatment they need to offer to you, right? Meaning the person who's getting admitted, there's a line of treatment, right? So depending upon the conditions that the family member has, the line of treatment can be different, right? Someone who has diabetes, उसको medicines जो दी जाएगी वो अलग दी जाएगी, surgery जो होगा वो अलग तरीके से होगा. If someone does not have diabetes, then there will be no check on sugar, like, and getting sugar in control before the surgery, right? But if someone has sugar, like that is the best example to give. So those kind of things are done. So medical protocols, line of treatment requires medical history to be captured first. So the doctor is going to capture medical history. This paper is something that the insurance company has access to. Either they will take it directly from the hospital or ask for it from you, right? Before they make a claim. And they clearly ask for this information when a claim is happening. That give us the first paper that the doctor has filled. Technically, it's called something, I don't remember the name, but that paper basically is like a kacha chitta of exactly current situation of the patient. Why is he come here? What were the complaints? Since when is the complaint, right? And what are the medical history that this person has been reported by the family members when he was admitted, whether he came with consciousness or not consciousness, right? All those things are mentioned that way. So that paper basically helps insurance companies to find out things. Also, insurance companies may, in fishy cases, right? They may actually not you, sorry.
Yeah, I was saying just coming to that.
In situations where they are cases where they feel that okay, this is not going right, meaning if they feel that the claim is very big, or if they feel that there is something that is off, they actually also put professional investigators on the job.
What?
Right? Yes, insurance companies put professional investigators on the job when they feel that a case needs investigation. If they feel that there is something that has been missed, these professional investigators have their own ways to find information. That they
Could
will
you
come.
explain it through an example?
So professional investigators will find out. They will even go and meet your neighbors. These things happen. They will basically, in large claims, they will also find out who local doctors next to who are close to your house and try to find out from them. And a lot of cases they are professionals, so they know how to investigate. So this takes almost like 35-40 days of time. They take that kind of time to create a report where they will try to find out in their own way. Talking to hospitals, talking to doctors, talking to neighbors also if required, talking to your employer and trying to basically see if they can find some information. तो एकदम typical जो investigator और triangulate करती चीज़ों को, so they definitely can do that if the claim is very big, then insurance companies can go to that level also if they feel that there are some things which are not right.
I'm just thinking people in the comments might be writing Saif Ali Khan के साथ तो नहीं हुआ. The claim was big.
Yeah, actually right. Meaning, but yes, term insurance के केस में तो बहुत होता है. मतलब investigation काफी ज़्यादा होता है because claim amounts are also very high, right? 3 crores, 5 crores का होगा. Term insurance के केस में तो बहुत होता है, but health insurance के केस में भी होता है. Like for example, if it's a cashless claim, there could be cases where the insurance company can send a person, a surveyor or an expert to the hospital to actually talk to the patient, talk to the doctor at the time when the cashless claim is getting processed, and then only process the claim.
Okay.
So like I've been saying, like insurance companies के लिए claim is a loss, and because it is a loss, they will do whatever is in their capacity to find out if there is something that is going wrong, and try to see if they find something which is fraudulent, then stop the claim also.
Through claims, they will get to know.
Yeah.
What about ki my parents have not purchased the policy, they are going to purchase it.
Yeah.
And now at the time ki when they are purchasing, they do not reveal कि उनको कुछ भी है.
तो claim के time पे जब पता चलेगा तो then they will not pay the claim. Right?
Okay.
And if they can in fact go ahead and cancel the policy also. Like right now, as we speak, when I was coming here in the cab, I was telling you guys only that there is a family whom I am trying to help, where there is a mistake that the doctor has made and mentioned something which was 5 months, as mentioned as 5 years. और वो claim पे तो नहीं हो रहा है, but their policy has got cancelled. And we are trying to help that family now to see that how do we talk to the insurance company कि mistake हो गई है, right? So this small thing also can lead to cancellation of policy, cancellation of claim. So insurance companies will wait till the claim is not coming, they are getting premiums.
Okay.
Right? So तुम करते रहो, तुम pay करते रहो, you keep paying premiums. When the claim comes, I will investigate. And if I come to know at that time, I will cancel the policy. I will not give you a claim also. So what is the big problem for the insurance company?
Understood. So now let's come to the proposal form, right? This is extremely important, as you keep on mentioning proposal form. If you do not know how to fill out the proposal form, do not buy health insurance policy.
Yeah.
Quote by Mahavir Chopra. So what about how the senior citizen can fill their proposal form in the best, not best, right way?
Yeah. So like I said, those 3-4 things that I asked you, that those are the things that I typically would ask, like what are the surgeries that have happened, right? What are the treatments that are going on right now, right? What are the medicines that are being taken right now? Is there any medical test that was done in the past? And are there any parameters in that test which are off range, right? If there is a medical file that the parents are maintaining, then looking at the file and basically going through the file and asking questions to your parents that ये क्या है, ये किस चीज़ का मेडिसिन ले रहे हो, मेडिसिन बॉक्स को ओपन करके भी पूछना चाहिए. और फाइनली you should also talk to the family doctor. If your parents have a family doctor, it's best to pick up the phone and speak to the family doctor and say that I'm buying an insurance, I want to ensure that everything is mentioned properly. तो ये सब करना चाहिए. तो 5-6 चीज़ें हैं, ये तो प्रॉपर होमवर्क है, एक वीकेंड का काम है ये, which you should do properly.
So okay, I got to know about the proposal form. Now tell me, does insurance company ask senior citizen mandatorily to do the medical test?
Right. So most of the times, insurance companies for people who are above a certain age, mostly above 50, do ask for a medical test, right?
Okay.
Very in sporadically, insurance companies during certain times may not ask for a medical test. Like कभी month end है, year end है, quarter end है, that time they may release or create like a waiver कि अभी currently we are not doing medical tests.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But usually a medical test would be important, and there are 2 types of layers of how an insurance company does medical tests, right? One is where they will basically do like a questionnaire on a phone or a video call, right? Which is basically called a tele-MER, right? Where an insurance company will basically call your parents and basically ask questions. Right?
Okay.
कि आपकी health कैसी है? अभी proposal form में they may be also already answered, but they may still go and call the family.
This is an audio call.
It's an audio call. Sometimes it's even a video call, right? Where they basically want to understand from the family members who are going to get covered, the parents, about their health. And they may ask layered questions. Like for example, you will say that yes, I have cholesterol. So आपने last कभी test करवाया था. What are the medicines that you take? Have you increased your medicines after some time? Are these medicines same for the last 5 years? Right? Similar types. They could ask questions. I'm not a doctor, but similar basically questions to understand little deeper information about the health condition. Right?
Got it.
So those kind of questions are asked. The tele-MER also is done because a lot of customers, they may fill the proposal form in a particular way, but when a person who's a doctor or someone who's a senior person who comes on a call, then the seriousness increases, and hence you end up getting little more information. The insurance company ends up getting little more information than they would have got in a proposal form. Typically what I hear from insurance companies, that is why it is done. And in a lot of cases, medical test is also carried out, and medical test basically could be an elaborate test where an insurance company is trying to understand the vitals of the and any specific issues that the parent could have, right?
Okay.
One important thing to understand is that when an insurance company is doing a medical test, that does not mean that you can be casual when filling a proposal form, right? The reason is very clear that even if the medical test is done, it's not a head-to-toe medical test. Medical test is done on a certain parameters and certain areas of health, basically which help an insurance company come to know about the overall health of a person. But it's not a head-to-toe test. Right, so every part of your body is not tested. So proposal form भरना और उसकी responsibility, उसकी जिम्मेदारी is still with you. You still have to be
Okay.
very detailed about it.
Got it.
Right? Like for example, I may have a medical test which could be doing like a liver function test, a test for liver, a test for kidney, a test for let's say vitamins, a test for let's say blood and let's say for sugar, cholesterol, all this lipid profile. But I have a stomach ache, right, for the last 6 months. Right? It may not sonography तो नहीं कर रहा है insurance company. The sonography का cost could be as much as half of the premium, right? Maybe, or maybe an MRI is required, or maybe some other test is required. If a head-to-toe test is done, definitely the premium could be more than probably the premium of the of one family member also, right? तो वो उतना इंश्योरेंस कंपनी अफोर्ड भी नहीं कर सकती और इकोनॉमिकली वायबल भी नहीं है फॉर एन इंश्योरेंस कंपनी टू पे सच कॉस्ट, राइट? सो दोज थिंग्स यू विल हैव टू इन्फॉर्म to the family member, so to the insurance company, the family member have to inform. So basically layered hai. First thing is proposal form. Second thing is tele-MER, which is basically questions that are asked by a doctor or some qualified professional from the insurance company to the family member. And third is a medical test. All these three things you have to truthfully ensure that you're doing it properly, you're doing it correctly, you're being very very honest, and you're not hiding anything at all the stages, that these three things that we're talking about.
So I have multiple questions in this.
Sure.
First, you told ki if it is a month end, then the insurance company might waive off these medical tests.
This happens.
What if something comes out at the time of claims?
Yeah.
I think I have got the answer, but still I want to understand because I have to write the proposal form. Company will say कि भाई तुमने proposal form तो भरा ना.
Yes.
Right. So is that?
Yeah. So not doing a medical test does not basically take off the responsibility of you not filling the proposal form correctly. You will have to still fill the proposal form correctly, right? But you are supposed to fill the proposal form correctly to the best of your knowledge. अभी मुझे जो भी पता है I need to inform. जो मुझे नहीं पता है, that I cannot tell the insurance company because मुझे नहीं पता है. I don't know that thing.
Yes.
That could have come out of the medical test that the insurance company is doing. Where that insurance company is taking a call to not do the medical test, they cannot blame you for things that you did not know. So proposal form will take care of you ensuring that you have informed everything to the best of your knowledge.
Got it.
Right? And everything else, the insurance company cannot then basically put the onus on you because obviously, naturally, you don't know that thing.
Understood. And the tele-MER part, the audio call or the video call. When I talk about the video call, majorly the senior citizens will not be comfortable, right? Even with the audio calls, let's say ki, in tier 1 cities, parents might talk on phone, but tier 2, tier 3
like my
cities,
mom can get damn nervous if someone does a video call. Like,
so they might get uncomfortable. They might not be ready to go ahead and do that. What happens in
you
such
can
cases?
be them with them. You can be with them and help them, right? Meaning the proposal form need not be filled by the family member, and hence the tele-MER also ideally, meaning if the parents are not able to do it, then you can be there and assist them, right? So you all, if both the parents are getting covered, you and both the parents can be part of the same video call and answer those questions.
Okay, got it. Got it. Perfect. And about the medical test which you told, are there any companies, insurance companies, insurance products which senior citizens can get without the medical test?
Yeah, there are quite a number of policies where medical tests are waived, but there are two aspects to this. One is that either such policies will be slightly expensive, or they will basically balance out this not doing this medical test by having multiple conditions in the policy. Like for example, there is a classic product which is one of the most popular products in the insurance space, which is called Star Red Carpet, right? The name of the product itself was basically said that आपको मैं red carpet treatment दूंगा, आपको कोई medical test नहीं करना, you come and I'll give you the policy without medical test. But it has numerous medical so it has numerous limits and numerous terms and conditions in the policy. एंड मैंने कितनी बार ऐसी कैलकुलेशन किया है कि आपको जितना भी क्लेम आएगा उसका 45% ही मिलेगा वो पॉलिसी में, लाइक 45 to 50% ही मिलता है उसमें. यू डोंट गेट द होल क्लेम बिकॉज देयर आर सर्जरी लिमिट्स विच बेसिकली से दैट अगर आपको कैंसर हो गया या आपको हार्ट डिजीज हो गया तो आपको 2 लाख रुपए मिलेगा. आपने 10 लाख का भी पॉलिसी किया, इफ यू बॉट अ 10 lakh rupees policy also you'll get only 2 lakhs. Then there are co-pays, which is basically a share of the claim that you have to pay from your pocket. So 50% no co-pay है which is 50% share of the claim you have to pay from your pocket
बाप रे बाप.
if it is a pre-existing disease.
Okay.
If it is not a pre-existing disease,
Hmm.
then it could be 30% copay. वैसे.
Okay.
Then there are other policies like Niva Bupa has a policy which is called, I think, Niva Bupa Senior.
Hmm.
I don't remember the exact name, but
Mhm,
it is a
mhm.
policy which covers. So उसमें भी ऐसे ही conditions है. It is
Okay.
lesser. It is not that harsh
Hmm.
as a star red carpet, but it is also a policy where there are copays. You can pay more premium and remove the copay or reduce the copay. But it is always going to be a give and take between premium, right? The conditions that you get. Basically, these two things, it is going to be a balancing out of between these two things. And the third, आप medical test करवा रहे हो कि नहीं करवा रहे हो, third thing would be that.
Okay.
So it
Got
will
it.
all, आप medical test नहीं कराओगे तो या तो premium बढ़ेगा,
Hmm.
या तो basically premium नहीं बढ़ेगा तो coverage कम होगा. So
Hmm.
you need to look at it that way.
So what would you recommend? I believe the third.
Yeah,
but
meaning
like what would
obviously
you?
go for something which gives you, there is no out of pocket, the least out of pocket for you, right? Meaning because you are buying a policy largely to take care of not having to pay from your pocket.
100%.
That way.
Now, so ultimately, like, so there might be chances for the senior citizen to get the medical test then. Now let's take a scenario where my parents are in village and there are no test labs.
Yeah.
And it's let's say 60 kilometer away from my
Yeah.
home. What will happen at that time?
Yeah, so again, there will be, you'll have to trade off between basically whenever you go to your village, you take them to the city and get the medical test done and then get the policy issued and get a good policy, or you buy a no medical test policy, which is basically a policy where there will be conditions. Like there are so many people I know whose parents who are not able to convince their parents for getting a policy only.
Yes.
Like there are so many
Yes.
cultural reasons by which parents don't want to get a medical test done. क्योंकि उनको लगता है medical test करेंगे तो कुछ आ जाएगा, फिर I will have restrictions on my diet and my whatever, right? I may have to go through a surgery or something. So they are scared, so they don't want to do a medical test. So in such situations, such products where there are basically there is a give and take between you not having to do a medical test but then getting a product which has lesser features is something that you'll have to choose.
Got it. You have mentioned that head to toe test doesn't happen, but still for a senior citizen the medical test might be a little expensive.
Yeah.
Right. Who bears the cost for these medical tests? Like, is it the insurance company, or if I am buying for my parent, do I have to bear it? Like, how does this thing
right, so if the policy is issued, then it is 50-50 is what I know.
Okay.
That the insurance company may pay 50% cost and the customer has to pay 50% cost. And if the policy is rejected, if I'm not wrong, and if I'm wrong, then the screen can correct it.
Sure.
Then it usually is that the patient will have to pay, the policy holder will have to pay the entire money that way.
Okay. So
this is what I remember, but it's best that it gets corrected if I'm wrong on the screen. Yeah.
Definitely. So 50%, like a policy will get issued later, right? So who
once
pays?
the policy is issued, then that call comes where 50-50 is paid. Some insurance companies in fact pay 100% also.
Okay.
Like they take the whole cost on their head because of scale that they are able to take the cost on their head, and some of them basically do it at 50-50.
Understood.
Yeah.
So till now we have covered the basics in for the senior citizen health insurance policy, how to fill the proposal from right. We have talked about the medical test and what if are there any policies which can be issued without any medical test, and what are the hidden or what is the catch in that, right? And how you can make sure that you help your parents out to get all the things done for them. For example, if they cannot get the medical test, then help them out. For the tele-MER, if they cannot go on a video call or audio call, you can help them out. Try to tell each and everything to the insurance company so that you do not face any issues at the time of crisis, basically at the time of claims. That's it. Mahavir, let's understand the coverage. Right? Second, sum insured, kitna milta hai, right? So what is the logical cover amount which you would recommend? And here let's imagine three cases, three personas. Early 60s, what would you recommend? Early 70s senior citizens, what would you recommend? And early 80s senior citizen, what would you recommend?
Right. So typically, the recommendation that I do or the calculation I do is looking at the remaining life of the basically life expectancy of
Okay.
a person,
Hmm.
and then calculate a basic inflation over years, right? So typically, let's say if you're talking about a 60-year-old, uh, what is that you think would be the best that person is going to live? Like, let's say, I know we don't want to do these calculations, but objectively, when you sit and do it, you have to do it. So
Yes.
let's say we are talking about 60 to 80, right? Let's look at it that way. So 20 years ka time span hai.
Hmm.
And today, if you think that a 5 lakh cover is good enough, then you should put a 10% inflation on that, and then try to calculate for 20 years how much cover would you require, right? Typically, it will come to around 15 to 20 lakhs, right? That is the cover that you need. Now you need to balance this out with basically the premium, right, that
Hmm.
you are supposed to pay, if it is affordable for you or not, because for a senior citizen the premiums can be quite high, right?
Hmm.
And hence you have to balance it out. Typically that आप 20 लाख का कवर इतने प्रीमियम में आ रहा है, तो डू यू वांट टू
Hmm.
basically reduce the coverage, right?
Got it.
And then balance it out that way, because sometimes you are ready to typically take a hit on the coverage and ensure that you pay lesser premium because probably it's not affordable, right? Then there are some other ways to solve it. We'll come to that when we go to the cost side of the whole thing.
Sure.
Like you can buy a top up instead of basically not buying the base policy and all that, which I'll explain
Sure.
sometime later.
And similarly for the 70s, similarly for the 80s, early 80s,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
70s.
So 70s, 80s, basically the thing is that the price again could be very high. I wouldn't buy a policy for 80s, meaning
Okay.
if I'm currently there is no insurance that the family has, and if someone is at 80, I wouldn't buy an insurance. I might as well basically keep a fund, right? Meaning I will basically do an SIP and probably do some savings and ensure that there is a separate fund kept which can take care of the family. Because at that age, honestly, it will be very difficult for an insurance company to also give coverage. It also gets very complicated, and typically what I've heard is most of the people who reach the age of 80, uh, hospitals and doctors also avoid surgeries, right? Because that age has become little delicate.
Yes.
Most of the surgeries, the body is not ready to take surgeries. So from that perspective, it's better to have a fund, right?
Got it.
After 75, I don't think you should even look at buying insurance. 70 should be the last age when you basically think of buying an insurance. After that, I think gradually having a fund becomes more sensible than buying a policy, because it's become very expensive for you to buy an insurance at that time. Again, understand the probability. 70 to 80 के बीच में सर्जरीज होने का चांसेस बढ़ जाता है, and insurance company is not getting a chance to recover the money that they are going to basically charge from you and pay during claims. So the premium will always be very high when the time is lesser for the insurance company to basically take premium from you.
And let's say when I talk about the coverage, I have a family floater policy.
Yeah.
Should I go ahead with my parents' individual policy, or should I add them within my
You
family
should
floater plan?
separate them out. You should
Okay.
separate and have a separate policy for them. The real reason for this is that from a calculation point of view, you need a higher coverage than your parents, because you are going to live a longer life than your parents, and hence you need a larger cover, right? Second is, it is better to insulate them and have a separate cover, because if they make claims, there could be a chance that the floater cover that you have, which you're sharing with them, that entire cover can get used by their hospitalization, then you may be without any cover, right, in a particular year. Third is that floater, when it is bought with parents, the premium is charged based on their age, right? So you may have to pay a very high premium if the eldest age जो होता है, the premium is charged based on that age for every family member, right? So yeah, so basically not exactly that you will be charged at that rate, but it's the function of the highest age, and then it is charged for everybody else, right? So
Okay.
typically, if you are taking a policy for someone who's very senior and there is a very big age difference, then it's better to separate it out and have separate policies, because that premium is going to impact your premium also. When you buy two separate policies, it will be cheaper.
So we have talked about the cover amount for the 60s, 70s, and 80s. People who are at 60s, they can see the inflation, see the life expectancy, and accordingly see the inflation and decide the cover amount. They can balance that out with the premium, how much you can pay out of your pocket. And secondly, for the family floater plan, if you want to take policy for your parents, do not buy a policy individually for them. Do not involve them in the family floater plan. Because of multiple reasons. First is that you need cover for a long time, right? Secondly, your cover might get consumed because senior citizen, multiple health conditions are there. And lastly, the premium wala part, it is very important that premium will be seen from the point of view of the senior citizen and not you. So the premium might increase. Hence, it is very important that you do not involve them, buy a separate policy for them. Now, Mahavir, we are talking about premium a lot from the start till now.
Yeah.
So now, if you could share some ways to reduce the premium, because we know premium will be high.
Yeah.
With age, the premium
Correct.
will increase. Could you share some practical ways to reduce this premium?
Right. So basically, the first way to do it is basically to take a policy which has a deductible, right? So yeah, I will explain. Hold
Okay.
on. So deductible basically ऐसा होता है कि in a year, whatever claims you make, a certain amount of money you say that I will pay from my own pocket, and then the insurance company will start paying.
Okay.
Like for example, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि 2 लाख रुपए का deductible है policy में. So what I'm trying to say is that I will basically pay money till 2 lakhs from my own pocket, and then later on the insurance company will come to picture.
Got it.
This is also called super top up policy, right? Basically सुना होगा word super top up policy.
yes.
So super top up policy, you directly buy a super top up policy. You don't buy the base policy at all. So
Okay.
you basically say कि 1 लाख रुपए के ऊपर का super top up लेता हूँ मैं till 10 lakhs. So till 1 lakh I will create like a fund for my own, or maybe not 1 lakh का fund नहीं बनाना पड़ेगा, आपको 4-5 लाख का fund बनाना पड़ेगा, because it could be basically
Yes.
multiple years. And I'll take that and keep that, and then I buy a super top up for my parents, which will take care of any big expenses that come. For small
Got it.
expenses, I will take care of it from my own savings.
Understood.
For bigger expenses, I will basically buy a super top up. So wherever, in any situation, if you feel that the cost is going up very high, then always try to see if you can get a super top up policy for your parents, so that at least you have a stop loss. मतलब कि 2 लाख के ऊपर का, I need to pay, I will not have to pay. 2 lakhs तक मैं खुद pay करूँगा.
I can pay it from my
एक
pocket.
type का stop loss हो गया.
Yes.
There is another strategy which is similar strategy, is that you always, when you're buying a policy for parents, always buy a base policy and a super top up policy, right?
Okay.
Why you should do that is that कभी आज बहुत you are able to afford it, but if the premiums are going to go up very high later on, right? Because age increases, the premiums become unaffordable for you in the long run. You can stop the base policy.
Okay.
And you can keep the super top up policy. The other way to also do it is that corporate policy. अगर आपके parents को corporate में आप include कर सकते हो, तो 2 लाख का cover आपको, if you're getting it from your company, then buy a super top up over that, right? If you're in the corporate policy will pay. If you're not in the corporate, you're on your own, or you're not in a company where you have the 2 lakh cover, then you should be able to pay from your own pocket. So super top up ही strategy है, which is basically going to help you, which has a deductible, and that could be a way to do that. A lot of policies also have lesser deductible also. Like it's a base policy, it's a regular policy, but उसमें आप बोलते हो कि मैं 10,000 रुपए खुद के जेब से पे करूँगा. I'll pay 10,000 rupees from my pocket, and then insurance company will come to picture. 25,000 rupees का deductible ले सकते हो कि till 25,000 rupees I will pay from my pocket, then the insurance company comes into picture. इसमें premium difference बहुत higher होता है. Like the 25,000 rupees deductible, if you take, it could reduce the premium by 10 to 15% to 20%.
Okay.
Right? Depending upon the age. Right?
Okay.
So these kind of things is something that an insurance company allows you to help you basically reduce your premiums, at the same time buy a coverage for people who have higher risk, which is basically senior citizens.
Mahavir, banks also are offering
Yeah.
cheap policies for
Correct.
senior citizens. So should the person go ahead with that?
Yeah. Really great that you asked this question, because otherwise this would have not got covered. A lot of senior citizens do reach out to us and say कि ये वाला bank है, they are offering us a very cheap policy. Like it's dirt cheap. Like I mean, a 50,000 rupees policy available through personal insurance, and it's available at 15,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees from a government bank, right? So it's very attractive, right? And it's very interesting also कि अरे इतना easily cover मिल रहा है. There are 2-3 major problems with that, right?
Okay.
First is that it's a group policy, right? When it's a group policy, what happens is that every year that policy basically comes up for renewal. The premium can be revised, completely revised. The terms and conditions of the policy can also be revised, right? Because it's a group policy. All group policies by definition are 1-year policies, right?
Okay.
Every year the insurance company and the bank will sit together and negotiate terms again for the policy. बहुत ज़्यादा claims अगर आ रहे हैं, then the insurance company can actually say that I will change the terms and conditions, I will increase the price. The worst, I withdraw the policy. Like कुछ man Google and search के government bank withdrawal of health insurance, you will find so many articles where बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स विड्रॉ हो गए बैंक्स के और इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज के टाइप्स थे, and they got withdrawn because of large claims that are coming into picture, and the insurance company and the bank have come to a deadlock. They are not able to take a decision because insurance company बोल रहा प्रीमियम बढ़ा दूंगा, बैंक बोल रहा नहीं इतना नहीं बढ़ा सकते, and then it comes to such a deadlock that claims are so high that the insurance company withdraws. So suddenly you have a policy for 5 years, right? You are renewing every year, and suddenly there could be a situation where either you are the company withdraws the policy and then tells you that okay fine, we'll port you into a government, into a personal policy, right?
Okay.
So when they port you to a personal policy, suddenly your premiums, and ये बहुत सारे forum पे हमारे बेशक we have a forum right on our website, we come so many questions that come that I was paying 20,000 rupees premium, 50,000 rupees premium, now suddenly I've been told to pay 1.5 lakh rupees premium because I've been moved from group policy to a retail policy, and the retail policy is very expensive. And तो ये बहुत stressful है for a senior citizen. So it's better that you buy a personal policy than buy such policies where it's so fluctuating and so volatile. The other is service, right? When you buy a policy from a bank, right? There is no service that is available because the bank does not understand insurance. The bank employees also don't understand insurance. Worse, they do not understand claims. Claim जब आएगा, you have to fight with the insurance company directly. And usually because they are very cheap policies, the claim service, the TPA that they have employed, they also don't earn great money out of this. The overall services of such policies are very poor. Like meaning, poor is also an understatement. Honestly, you do not get good services, you don't get responses, and becomes a very very bad thing, right? I help so many of my family friends with these policies, and it's a horror story even for me, meaning I have to also do so much to help them out. There are some association policies also, there are some policies that are available to certain religious groups also, right? Like there is a policy which is available through, I am from a community where there's a policy that is available through that JITO community, JITO community, which is a policy where you pay quite a high premium, and you get the coverage, but nobody reads the terms and conditions. There are tremendous number of terms and conditions in the policy. ये करोगे तो ये नहीं मिलेगा, ये करोगे तो ये नहीं मिलेगा, surgery limits, copays, huge copays, and the service is also shit, right?
In spite of higher premiums.
In spite of higher premiums, so many conditions, the service is very bad. And so basically first when you buy a policy, always ask this question कि ये group policy है क्या? अगर group policy है तो ही सस्ता होगा प्रीमियम, और सस्ता होगा प्रीमियम तो आपको सर्विसेज नहीं मिलेगी, तो कोई पॉइंट नहीं. इफ यू कैन अफोर्ड इट, डोंट बाय अ ग्रुप पॉलिसी.
Okay, and one question which I had कि when the insurance company can withdraw the policy, at that time like customer doesn't have anything in their hands. Like,
they have the chance to port. So the government IDA rules are that if you're withdrawing the policy, the insurance company has to give the nearest feature, जो भी features थे policy में, उसके nearest policy that is available, that has to be given as an option to the customer. So that is given, but again the premiums for that could be very high.
No, nearest also like you mentioned 20,000 one.
Yeah, and we've seen so many such cases where the premiums go up by 3-4x.
So I got to know about the banks, and really alarming for the people out there who are watching. Do not go with these cheap policies. As you can see, there are multiple terms and conditions associated with it. Mahavir, what about the corporate policies? Like if I'm working and corporate policies do offer cover for parents.
Correct.
What about that? Should we go ahead and take that? Or is there any catch?
So corporate policies will also, because they are policies that are for parents, basically they would have a lot of conditions, right? There will be a lot of terms and conditions, and these again, because these are group policies, they will be negotiated every year between the insurance company and your corporate. The CFO of your company or the HR head of the company will discuss and do it. So every year the terms and conditions could change in this policy, right? And depending upon claims, the premium could go up, and or if the premium doesn't go up, then the terms and conditions could go down, or both could happen, right? Meaning it could be a push and pull of both. And this, most of the people who are watching the show, if they have been covering their parents through corporate policy, would have seen this, right? That the terms and conditions have gone down, premiums have gone up. In fact, premiums have gone up to such an extent that now the premiums of a corporate health insurance for parents is more expensive than taking a personal policy.
What?
Yes, absolutely. Because see, when they're covering, the good part of a corporate health insurance policy is that they will cover pre-existing diseases from day zero, right? So they cover everything, diseases from day zero. So that's why they get a lot of claims, and because they get a lot of claims, that's why the premium is very high. Right? Compared to when you take a retail policy, a retail policy, obviously you cannot claim for first 3 years for existing diseases. So that period basically is there.
Compensation.
Yeah, that it gets compensated.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason and the difference why you should not basically take a corporate policy
Mm-hmm.
is basically that it's not a personal finance tool for you, right? It's not, you're not solving for your personal finance, right?
Could you elaborate on that?
I'll explain. So basically, when you're buying a policy from a corporate for your family or your parents, it is basically linked to your employment. So as soon as you leave the employment, it is going to stop. Second is that if you're thinking that I will port the policy when I move, right? Parents ka policy move karna, port karna is very difficult because medical conditions, health history, lifestyle, everything will be checked at the time of portability, and insurance company does not guarantee portability. They may reject it also. So all these are risks that you're taking. And when you're basically buying, so it's a benefit, it's a short-term benefit while you are there in the employment of the company. Whereas buying a personal health insurance is actually like a personal finance tool for you, which is taking care of long-term expenses for healthcare for your family members. Right? So don't substitute these two things. Right? If you are getting a policy for your parents and you think that there is a chance or a visibility of a hospitalization that is going to happen very soon, right? And you have a choice between a personal policy and a government, and why am I saying government again? Personal policy and a company policy, and you see a visibility कि अभी claim आने वाला है, then buy a company policy because then you will be able to claim immediately.
Okay.
Right?
Logical.
But in the long run, if you want to take care of your family's healthcare, your parents' healthcare, then you cannot substitute a company policy with a personal policy. You will have to substitute you will have to have a personal policy for your long-term healthcare expenses for your parents.
Understood. And what if, like, I have understood ki, the price might be equal to, and in some cases, as you mentioned, the price might.
Most cases it's now become higher.
Most cases it is higher. So definitely, like.
You understand, right? Most of the people who are getting into the policy are usually getting into the policy because they want to make a claim.
Yes.
Right?
Logical.
मैं यही देख रहा हूँ कि ये साल के लिए मिल रहा है मुझे, तो मैं claim करने वाला हूँ, नहीं करने वाला हूँ, नहीं claim करने वाला तो I will not take the policy.
Got it.
So it's becoming a very bad vicious circle for the insurance company, for the customer, because the premiums are increasing.
What if I'm thinking of leaving the company, or I'm hitting the retirement? In that case, I want my parent coverage to be continued. In that case, how can I ensure that that cover continues? So
portability is available, but it is not guaranteed, right? So like I also mentioned little bit earlier, that you can apply for portability. The portability is available when you move from a corporate policy to you want to move it to a retail policy. It is available only in the same insurance company, right?
Okay.
So जैसे normal portability is available between one insurance company to multiple insurance company, any insurance company. In this case, you will be able to port between that government, जो भी corporate insurance policy है, उसकी जो insurance company है, that same company will offer you a personal policy. Only portability can happen between that company's group policy to the retail policy. It is basically called, in technical terms or the IIDA regulation terms, it's called migration.
Okay.
Right? It's not portability. It's under portability. There's something called migration, which is happening between the same company, two plans. Right? So in case of this also, but the insurance company, when they're moving you to a personal policy, they now know that now you're moving to a personal policy, I have to give you lifetime coverage. Right? Because they're going to give you lifetime coverage, they will now do a proper evaluation, almost like they're giving you a new policy.
Logical.
And because they will be doing an evaluation of the entire medical records, the history, your current medical condition, everything that we spoke about some time back, there is a good chance that they may not give a policy. Like if there is a big claim that has happened 2 years ago in the policy, then based on that, they will decide not to give you a policy. So it's not something that you can completely depend upon.
Got it. So guys, it is very, very important to see ki, do not go ahead with the group insurance policy because there are multiple conditions associated with it. Wherever possible, go ahead with the personal health insurance policy. So Mahavir, let's now talk about some important things for the senior citizen, because when we talk about them, it is hard for them to get the policy. So definitely multiple exclusions will be there, right? So what are some common exclusions when we talk about senior citizen health insurance, which most people do not realize, but it is very, very important. Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, so basically, the exclusions are mostly the same. For someone who is very healthy, and basically, like we spoke in the beginning, If someone is very healthy and does not have any major health issues or any medical history, then they will get a policy that you and I will get, right? And because they will get a policy that you and I will get, it will be a comprehensive coverage, so they may not have any major conditions. They will have the same exclusions, same waiting periods that you and I will have, which is basically the pre-existing disease condition is 3 years, 2 years condition, 2 years waiting period for specified diseases and all that, which typically I'm assuming people can check other videos and find out. If the person is not healthy, right, and if they are basically not able to get those comprehensive policies, then they may have to fall into the second bracket, which is basically specialized policies for senior citizens, right? There are specialized policies for senior citizens that you can buy if you're not able to get the first policy. Those are the policies which I mentioned some time back, which have those co-pays. They could have some limitations in terms of how much you can claim for a particular treatment.
Understood.
And those kind of things. So it is an inferior policy to a comprehensive policy. So this is a comprehensive policy. Then you have the second, which is like a standard variant or an economy variant of the comprehensive policy, where you may not get everything, right? You may have to basically you may be restricted to the what kind of room you're taking. You may be having some share in the claim that you may have to pay, and there could be limitations on how much you can claim for a particular treatment, and these kind of things will happen. That is the second layer. A lot of people don't get the first wala policy and the second wala policy also. For them, then the third variant comes, which is where we recommend group policies from banks in such situations where they are not getting from the first two. Then you do not have a choice, and hence you should opt for those large bank mein jo available policies, the cheap group policies that are available, because you need to have some cover, right? So out of no choice, then the third option comes into picture. In those policies, the limits are even higher, right? Meaning there could be waiting periods, there could be co-pays, like I said, there could be surgery limits, treatment limits, which would restrict how much you can claim for a particular treatment. All those would also be there in that policy. The only advantage is because it's a group policy, the underwriting, which is basically the evaluation that the insurance company does before they give you a policy, that could be slightly liberal. Right? Because it is liberal, there is a chance that you could get entry in that policy if you're not getting entry in the senior citizen specialized policy and the comprehensive policy. So these are the three things that you should do. Yeah.
Okay, and majority of the times, let's say कि my people think of getting the health insurance policy when they see कि अच्छा मेरे को ये cover करना पड़ेगा. For example, in senior citizen, knee replacement is very common, right?
Correct.
And if I feel कि I want to get my parents' knee replacement surgery done, so how can I ensure that the insurer covers it?
Yeah, so this is what I call the lottery mentality. राइट जहाँ पे लगता है कि इंश्योरेंस तो कोई तो कहीं से तो पैसे गिर रहे हैं इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के पास, एंड दे फील दैट now that I have a problem, let me go and get it covered through an insurance. We get so many emails and messages where they're saying my mother needs a knee replacement treatment, can I get a policy? My father has got cancer, 4th stage or 3rd stage, and now I want to buy a policy. Or my wife is pregnant already in the 2nd trimester, and I want to buy a policy to cover maternity. These things don't get covered. If they get covered, the premium would be almost equal to the claim amount, because how will an insurance company afford to give you a policy for something which is a sure shot claim, right? Anything which is a sure shot claim, you cannot get a policy for that. If you get a policy for that, it will either not pay the claim or the premium would be equal to the claim amount, right? So if you are thinking that your parents need a surgery, or if you think that, don't expect that immediate claim कर पाओगे आप. वेटिंग पीरियड होगा, अब 2-3 साल वेट करना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद यू विल बी एबल टू क्लेम, राइट? एंड मोस्टली पेरेंट्स डिले सच सर्जरीज, ट्रीटमेंट. सो इफ देयर इज अ नी रिलेटेड इशू, you should inform the insurance company through the proposal form that a knee related issue hai, and they may basically decide to give you a policy or not, or they may put a permanent exclusion also saying that bhai hum knee replacement nahi cover karenge, and then they could give you the policy. Because they see, you have to understand, insurance companies are profit making companies, they need to make profits. उनको जहाँ पे पता चलेगा श्योर शॉर्ट क्लेम है, they will block you, or they will put a premium hike, or they will basically put some condition like permanent exclusion.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, Mahavir, if you could tell me, because at the time of purchase, we have understood the exclusions, etc., etc. Now, I'm purchasing the policy for my parents. There will definitely be key things which I should ensure that I have I should have these things in my mind so that I purchase the policy right.
Correct.
So what are some key things that a customer or the person who is purchasing policy for the parents or the parent themselves should be aware of while they are purchasing the policy?
Yeah, so first thing is ensure that the coverage is right. right?
Okay.
Meaning we discussed at length what is the
Yes.
coverage.
Yes.
Don't buy a low coverage. Ensure that you are buying a coverage for the future, right? The second is that ensure you've understood all the limitations in the policy, financial limits in the policy. Most of the time there will be limits in the policy because you're buying a policy for senior citizens. Be aware of them and use the policy accordingly, right? मतलब अगर मुझे मालूम है कि रूम रेंट लिमिट 5,000 रुपये है, find a hospital where I can get a comfortable room for my parents up to 5,000, right? And then get them admitted there, right?
Okay.
Or be ready to pay the additional premium, additional claim amount from your own pocket, right? Additional hospital bill from your own pocket. That is second. Third is basically ensure that proposal form is filled very, very carefully. Be very diligent about it. Don't basically be lazy about filling proposal form. Don't buy the policy if you are lazy, is what I would
Mahavir
always say.
Chopra's quote.
Because it's useless. You are going to pay premiums. You are just donating money to an insurance company which is already
Yes.
a big corporate.
Definitely.
Donate करना ही है तो मैं को कर लो. And the fourth is that I couldn't stress this more is always have an expert on your side. This is very important because ये जो भी मैंने बोला है वो सब manage करना समझना for your own self can become very taxing, right? You doing it on your own, and specifically at the time of claims you want to take care of your parents more than basically running behind insurance companies, calling their toll-free numbers, following up, writing stinker mails to the insurance company saying that तुम ऐसे हो वैसे हो, insurance company scam है, ये सब करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. You can have an expert on your side who can basically take care of all these things. If there are things that are not going right, they will know whom to talk to, whom to escalate, all that. So even if it is an extra premium that you have to pay, I would still recommend that have an expert on your side so that you are stress free, you can have good sleep at night, and you are also taken care of at the time of claim. You don't have to worry.
And what about ki I have purchased the policy? There might be certain things ki let's take a scenario where I have filled something wrong for my parent, or my parent themselves they have not declared and I want to declare. So what can I do at that time after purchasing the policy? Does the process remain the same when it comes to 30-year-old and let's say 60-year-old?
Yes, you will have to inform the insurance company. It is better to write a mail to the insurance company saying that I missed this and inform it. There are 2-3 things that could happen. Insurance company may not like it and they say, oh my god, this is something that I would have not covered you for, and hence they may cancel the policy, or they may actually charge you more premium, or they may just take it as on record, right? All these 3 things can happen. In all these scenarios, the worst scenario is that they may cancel the policy. But it is best that you do not have a policy and be prepared with no cover than to have a policy which is not going to pay claims, right?
Logical.
ऐसे illusion में रहना कि it's going to pay claims. It is not going to pay claims because at the time of claims, like we already explained and in detail, that insurance companies have the knack to find out.
Yes.
So it's no point doing it. If you've made a mistake, it's better to clarify it with the insurance company. कैंसिल कर दिया पॉलिसी तो दूसरी पॉलिसी ढूंढो और उसमें सही तरीके से भर के सही तरीके से लो, बट नॉट गो थ्रू दिस. Take there are a lot of agents who say this, right? And this is something that we can actually include in this, is that sir अब 3 साल का waiting period है, let the 3 years waiting period get over, don't inform, right? Okay. So I have a disease, don't inform that disease, sir. 3 years के waiting period का बाद तो cover तो होने वाला ही है, right? अच्छा. So उसके बाद cover हो जाएगा, तो what is the point? Right now don't inform and 3 years later it will get covered. It does not work like that. 3 years later also, or 10 years later also, or 20 years later also, or 50 years later also, whenever an insurance company comes to know that you have made a big misrepresentation, you have not informed something, the insurance company will straight away cancel the policy. Forget not paying the claim. सीधा cancel कर देगा. आजकल तो it's become even more prevalent that insurance companies directly put a case of fraud against the customer saying that ये fraudulent है और we are cancelling the policy.
Okay, so it's very, very important to declare all the things correctly.
Absolutely. And if you if you have bought the policy and you've forgotten it, it's better to inform the insurance company right now than to basically take the risk.
So let's talk about now renewal. Any important things which a senior citizen should take care of at the time of renewal?
So renewal के time पे basically if you are upgrading the policy or you are adding any rider in the policy, then you will have to inform about any new health condition that has happened. Okay. Right? Between taking the first policy and that upgradation or any kind of rider that you are enhancing the policy with. So वो एक चीज़ है. दूसरा चीज़ है कि be very, very careful about the renewal date and expiry date of the policy. There have been multiple cases and scenarios where I have seen is that senior citizen policies don't get renewal notices from insurance companies. right? And there are some insurance companies which are notorious about this, where they do not inform customers for senior citizen policies, hoping that the renewal will drop, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that all insurance companies do this, but there have been cases where we have seen that renewal notices have been paused for senior citizens, right? For whatever reasons that the insurance company could have. That's why you have your own methods of reminding your own self about renewals for your own policy and specifically for senior citizens, because अगर वो policy miss हो गया, नया policy मिलना बहुत मुश्किल होने वाला है. It's going to be very difficult to get a policy. So put whatever multiple reminders on multiple जितने phone है घर में, सब में reminder डालो. And also, if possible, put an auto debit instruction with your bank to that renewal, so that it automatically gets debited from your policy. उसके बावजूद भी ensure that if you get the SMS that okay, the debit has happened, be very very diligent about paying premiums, right, for your senior citizen parents or your parents basically.
Got it.
Because if the policy drops, then it's going to become very difficult to get a new policy.
And what about the medical test? Like, is it again mandatory or like?
No. Once you've got the policy, then there is no medical test required every year, or there is nothing like that happens.
Okay.
It just once when you bought the policy, it's required. Or if you are upgrading the policy significantly, then the insurance company may ask for it. An upgrade is almost equal to buying a new policy for an insurance company. So then they could ask for a medical test, but otherwise it's not required.
So if I am not doing an upgrade for my parents or no rider, then
you
there's
don't need to inform any
to...
new disease that happens.
Got it.
Sometimes insurance companies have a question at the time of renewal. Okay, is there any new disease that has happened? Then you answer it correctly, but it's not going to impact your cover. Meaning, whatever cover you already have, that cannot be changed, because you have a guaranteed lifetime renewable of your policy, right? There is a right that the regulation in India gives, that your policy will be renewable lifetime, right? So if you even have a disease or you make a very big claim, the insurance company cannot stop your cover at the time of renewal. That is something, unless the insurance company is able to prove fraud, which I explained some time back.
Got it. Understood. And what about portability? How easy or difficult it is?
It is very tricky. Portability for senior citizens or anybody who has diseases, multiple diseases, is very, very tricky in my view. You should do portability only because you should port. There is a reason why you want to port, because you're not happy with the insurance company, you're not happy with the claims or the service and all that. You should not port because you can port, right? बहुत सारे लोगों को ऐसे ही पोर्ट करना होता है कि अरे नया इंश्योरेंस कंपनी आया है, ये अच्छा दे रहा है तो मैं पोर्ट कर देता हूँ. डोंट पोर्ट बिकॉज यू कैन पोर्ट. पोर्ट बिकॉज यू नीड टू पोर्ट, राइट? दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो बिकॉज देर आर मल्टीपल थिंग्स, राइट? वन इज दैट द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी, दैट न्यू इंश्योरेंस कंपनी that is basically getting your portability request, they will need all the information of all the diseases that have happened before the first policy is bought. Then all the information that has happened for all the diseases between the old policy and the portability, right? इसमें कोई भी चीज़ मिस हो गया, कुछ भी मिस हो गया, तो जब भी आप नया whatever portability वाला new policy that you've taken, in that claim can get very complicated, specifically if the claims happen very early. So insurance companies suddenly, for them it is the first time they are covering you, and if there is a major claim that comes in that policy, for them you are a new customer. You may be having a policy for 20 years, but if you're making a claim in a new insurance company in the immediate 6 months of buying the policy, for them it is going to basically raise red flags, and then investigations will happen, all that happen. Usually any expert will tell you that if there is a senior citizen and you have a policy, even if it is not a comprehensive policy, try to upgrade in the same policy, try to remain in the same policy, and specifically if there are major diseases or any medical history or any claims history, तो ज़्यादा tinker मत करो unless आपके पास choice नहीं है कि and you have to move because you're not happy with the insurance company. Only do it, and then necessarily and compulsorily do it through an expert who will ensure that diligence has been taken care of, meaning there is a lot of diligence that has happened in terms of how declarations are done at the time of buying the policy. Because it's a very tricky thing, so it should be taken care of by an expert only.
Let's talk about claims. I understand that there are multiple things which might be associated with the senior citizen claims. Could you shed some light on that? Like, is it similar to a young guy making a claim? What challenges does senior citizen face when they are filing claims?
No, nothing very different actually. Meaning it will be similar. Everything is a function of proposal form, right? And making the right declarations when buying the policy, or if there is portability, then making the right declarations at the time of portability. If the right declarations have been made, then there should not be any issue at the time of claims. One more thing that I keep adding about is that the claims ke time pe bhi whoever is giving information to the doctor about medical history, that person should also be very careful about what information is given. Don't ask any random person in your family to give information. Ensure that the doctor is attended to by someone who knows the entire history and gives the right information, because वहाँ पे कुछ wrong चले गया तो that will also be taken by insurance companies as correct information and claims can get rejected. So claim के time पे भी giving right information to the doctor
very
is very important. That's the only thing. Otherwise everything else is a function of filling the proposal form correctly.
Okay, so one thing you told, could you tell me 3 major claim rejection reasons which you might have seen in your entire experience for a senior citizen?
Mostly it is to do with disclosures only. Like I said, proposal form. आपने proposal form सही नहीं भरा, and that could be the major reason why there could be a rejection.
Okay.
Otherwise, the rejections could be basically related to a person, a family member, or the parent basically going through a hospitalization, which according to the doctor was required, but according to the insurance company, it is not required. Basically, sometimes doctors ask for hospitalization for a senior citizen just for monitoring purposes or for medical tests, because the situation of the patient is very fragile and he cannot get, let's say, medical tests also done at home or through the OPD section, so they are admitted in the hospital. Those kind of things basically can be rejected, because for an insurance company there has to be a proper line of treatment, which is active line of treatment when they make a when a claim is coming for monitoring purposes or for basically any purpose which is related to any tests that are happening while the person is getting admitted in the hospital and in the hospital, that won't get covered in the health insurance. So these are the usual things that are getting would basically get rejected. Deductions would happen in senior citizens for the same reasons which I mentioned, that limits are there, co-pays are there.
Understood. So this was an information packed session, and I have gained a lot of insights. One last question to you. Since many players in the market, they are offering senior citizen health insurance policies, how can I make sure that I find the right health insurance policy for my parents?
Right. So same things, like meaning the regular drill, right? Meaning first coverage, second ensure that you basically have understood all the limits, all the exclusions, and fourth is buy from an expert, because buying an health insurance for a senior citizen is basically slightly a tricky affair. So having an expert on your side will make a lot of difference. And last could be buy from an insurance company which has the right track record of basically paying claims in the long run, right? Which also an expert is in the right position to give you that answer.
Got it. Got it. So Mahavir, thanks a lot for this session. This was incredibly insightful session, and I have gained a lot of insights and clarity. I hope the same for the people out there who are watching till now. If you have any doubts, still if you face any difficulties, do write them in the comment section. Do reach out to us, and we'll ensure that each and every doubt, each and every question is answered. If you want to purchase policy for your parents, and if you are looking for a guidance, then visit beshak.org, book a call with one of our experts. These experts have up to 20 years of experience, and they will guide you, they will handhold you throughout the purchase process. And not just that, they will help you out during claims also. So that being said, please ensure that you get the right health insurance policy for your parents, because ultimately we love them and we want to ensure that nothing happens to our parents. That being said, thank you. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay informed, stay insured.